Hello and welcome to another day of Parent Solution. And we have here with us Miss Abigail Wald. And Abigail is going to share with us today 5 ways to make our parenting less lonely. Welcome, Abigail.
Thank you, Felza. Happy to be here. So today, parents, I want to talk to you. I'm always obsessed with helping parenting be more mother flipping awesome. So today we're going to take a look at how we can flip ourselves out of the loneliness that sometimes happens and help ourselves feel more connected. So today we're going to talk about 5 awesome ways we can make parenting feel less lonely. But before we do that, we need to figure out, why does it feel so lonely sometimes? So let's take a look at that. I think it's because we get divided. And there are different things that we get divided from. There becomes like a gulf, a feeling of aloneness, a feeling of separation. And I want to talk about where that happens and what we can do about it. Okay. So one of the first ways that happens is from our own vision. Okay. And this is a problem of our own making, but it takes a lot of years to actually figure out what we're doing to ourselves. So I'm going to start here because it's always really great when we can own one of the ways we're making our lives harder without intentionally doing so. But if we're doing it, it means we can stop doing it, which is awesome. So one of the things that happens is that we have a vision of parenting. It's not based on reality. It's based on what we see, other people's realities, other people's fictions. And we have this idea of what our family is going to feel like, what it's going to feel like to be a parent, what it's going to feel like, who my child is going to be, all of those ideas. And that storyline then winds up having one sort of imagined frequency, okay, or vibe. And then you have your real life and you start living your real life and, twists and turns and things happen. And all of a sudden you're over here. And so there's a gulf between what you imagined it would look like, feel like, be like, and what it actually looks like, feels like it is. And that gulf creates a sense of loneliness where you are almost divorced from your own ideas of what you thought it would look like. So we often try to push this here and go, I need it to look like this. But guess what? You don't need to do that. You can just solve this and fall in love with what you actually have. And then you don't have a gulf anymore. You are just where you are. And that is awesome. There's a lot more work to do to actually get there, but it's one of the most important things. So I didn't want to not talk about that. Another thing is our friends. We can lose our friends because of our schedules, because of sleep, because of stress, because our friends have kids that are easier or don't have kids at all, or wind up getting drawn into just their kids' lives or time or sleep and, just a million things. And one of the things that also happens is that it's hard to make new friends because, again, sometimes everybody's experience of parenting is so individual and unique. And sometimes our experience isn't mirrored by someone else. So you're staying up all night, that person has a kid who's sleeping. Your child is having trouble in school, this person doesn't know what you're talking about. And while it's totally fine to have different experiences and you don't need friends who are all having the same experience, if you can't be honest and you can't be real about what your experience is, then you will get divided from yourself and you will also get divided from your community. So again, instead of trying to fit in, learn to be honest about who you are. And yes, you may repel some people, but you will also draw in the people that are actually meant to be your community during this time. Allow your community to shift. Allow friends to come in and out. Just keep being you, keep showing up at who you really are and what your experience really is, and the right people will come. Okay, another thing is, this is a beautiful one. So one of the things that happens is that we often get really separated from ourselves, from who we were before we had children. There's like our life pre-kids, and then there's our life post-kids. And sometimes we lose a lot of the aspects of our own self, who we were. I used to love to travel. I used to love to cook. I used to love to do these things. Now I'm too tired. Now I'm exhausted. Now I'm living through somebody else, for somebody else. I'm fully in service all the time. I don't remember that side of me that can just pick up and go somewhere. I don't remember that side of me that used to stay up practicing languages late at night, or, like that side of me that could do adventure. And we get so specific about the child needs the blanket at this time and the sleep at this time. And and then all of a sudden our kids are like 12. And before we know it, we're like, I never got back to me. Okay. So while you will never get back to who you were, it is important to at times fall back in love with yourself and go back and pick up that old person and bring them forward into your new life, because that will create a divide and a loneliness within you that is really crucial to tend to. Okay. And your children deserve and need to see that part of you, as well as your spouse, as well as yourself, right? Or anybody else in the world. It's important. Let's do another one. Oh yeah, talking about our partners. So some of us are parenting alone, some of us do have partners. But I think one thing that's another place where we can have a divide is thinking that we have to parent the same way or we have to have the same values. We don't. We are two different people. Okay. And so sometimes whether your partner is still in your life or is an ex, they're still part of your parenting experience, most likely. And even if that's in a very not agreeable way. And the truth of the matter is we need to make space for everybody's voice and everybody's opinion. If you legally need to do that, there are certain circumstances where they might not be true. But most of the time, we are wanting to create a space where a child can have different relationships with each of us, whether we're in the same home or not. And it's really important to realize that if you are thinking you each need to be the same, what you're actually doing is creating more division, more of a feeling of a gulf. Whereas if you realize that you can be different and yet compatible, even in your incompatibility, and that's a longer conversation, but that there are ways to appreciate the differences, it will actually help you feel less alone. And last is with our kids. We can actually feel super lonely with our children. And one of the reasons this happens is because we're spending so much time doing things for them and we're not doing things with them. And that starts to create a deep feeling of loneliness, both from them towards us, a hunger that they have of needing more, and us feeling like I can't get more. But what they're actually saying is, I want something different. I don't want all the things you're doing for me. I want you to be with me. And if you listen to that and you can figure out how to do that for yourself and for them, that will also help the loneliness. All right, there you go. That's 5 awesome ways to make parents lonely.
Thank you so much for sharing all these with us. I mean, it was so resonating with me and I felt every step of it. And I hope and I know this is going to serve a lot of parents. And that's all for today. You're going to get link of Mother Flipping Awesome in the description. Go and reach out to her. Thank you,
Yes,
Abigail.
over there, motherflippingawesome.com. Thank you so much. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye.